Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
All right. Well, we are here for a fun series. I'm real excited. This is actually our first interview for Women's History Month, and we are focused on the theme Choose to Challenge. And I have a special guest, Nancy Sebastian Rasay DeCastro. And what's so exciting about this interview is we met when we were kids, and it has been over 40 years since we've seen each other face to face. So this is just an honor and a blessing. We met in Italy. So it's amazing how Facebook and social media has reconnected us, from across the miles, right, Nancy?
Yes, it's just been great. Social media has been amazing. Great to see Luana again.
Thank you. So what we want to talk about is, we're celebrating Women's. So for you, Nancy, why do you feel that it's real important for women to be celebrated and for us to celebrate one another?
Well, we've come a long way, Luana. It's been great since it's about time. We've come a long way. Especially for women. It's about time, especially when we have a vice president who's a woman, and that's such an amazing feat for women. Our first vice president, a woman. It's just incredible. Yay. So proud of her. So that's an amazing feat. Women in the military these days. I was in the military. I served in the military. We have women generals now. Until 2015, two women had graduated from a ranger school, which is the greatest thing that happened in the military. Two women graduated in 2015, which is a male-dominated school, and two women had graduated from there in 2015. I was in the military. I entered the military, and back then there wasn't a lot of women in jobs back then. Mm-hmm. But when they graduated in 2015 in the Ranger School, that was great accomplishment for women.
So tell me, since a little bit about your journey. So what prompted you to go into the military? I know your father was in the military. Did you want to follow in his footsteps, or what triggered you at that time in your life to say, this is what I want to do?
Well, as you said, I was raised in the military. My dad served 20 years in the military. So I growing up, I wanted to be a social worker also. So I graduated from a bachelor's degree in social work, and I also wanted to serve in the military. So after I got my Bachelor of Social Work, and I decided, you know what? I wanted to go in the military, but I wanted to challenge myself. So I went in the Army. My dad was like, what? I was like, yeah, I can do this. Dad. So my dad was in the Navy, actually. So, but back then, my dad had called me in the States because my dad had retired in the Philippines because my mom had cancer because she wanted to pass away in her homeland. So I had to cancel my basic training and go back to the Philippines. My mom had cancer. My mom was in the hospital, and I had told her that I had to go into basic training. She said, okay, well, good luck. She was actually in her deathbed and said, Mom, I'm going in the Army. So she said, well, good luck. And that gave me the strength, and that gave me the determination. My mom battling cancer, I can do this. She had taught me through adversity, you can do anything. She was fighting cancer for the next 10 years, and she was a strong woman, Luana. She was a really strong woman. Actually, we didn't know she had cancer. She was going through chemotherapy, She was going through therapy. None of the kids had known she was going through cancer. She didn't tell us she was had. Only my mom and dad knew she had cancer because she didn't want us to worry, And that was the kind of woman she was. We didn't know she was going through chemotherapy all these years we were going through college because she was that kind of woman. So she didn't want us to hurry. And I thought, you know what, she can do this. She was a strong woman going through chemotherapy and life was normal around the house, normal. And she was going through chemotherapy. She can do this. She can battle cancer for 10 years. I can go through the army. She gave me that strength. You know what? I went through basic training, and then they gave me I took the test and asked what they called an ASVAB test. I scored high. And then I actually had the job, and my MOS was NBC, which is nuclear, biological, chemical warfare.
Oh, wow.
After basic training, they told me, this is a male-dominated job. You would understand. You might be the only woman in your class. I'm like, okay. That was a challenge for me, too. And I was the only woman in my class. There were only, in my class, in my school, so after basic training, I went to basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And then my schooling was in Alabama. And out of probably like 200 men in that group, we were only like about 5 women. In my particular class, I was the only woman in that class. And then again, that was a challenge for me.
So let's talk a little bit about that because, the hashtag choose to challenge. So when you think about choose to challenge, what does that mean as you reflect back on your life? You said nuclear, chemical, biological warfare, which is like the most complex of the STEM fields, right? So you're put in that, number one, and then you're right in the middle of a male dominated environment. And then you're in a class where you're the only one. What was that experience like?
No, just because they said male dominated, you think just because it's called male dominated, instantly they want you to think male dominated. They want to intimidate you. It's like, no, you don't think that way. Just because it's called male dominated, you don't think that way. You can do what males do. Other than, I can remember, okay, just because, do you think that way? You're intelligent as they are. But the hardest part is when you run all the physical, they have to do 50 push-ups. You have to do 50 push-ups. That you can't be intimidated. When they run, because they're taller than me and my paces were shorter. No, you have to run. You run with them. Because if I fall out of the runs, I have to catch up with them. You can't. You have to run with them. If I fall out from the run, they have to come back and get me. That's embarrassing. I have to run with them. If they do 50 push-ups, I have to do 50 push-ups. So I have to push myself, So I had to challenge myself. And you know what? I'm proud. I caught up with them. I did 50 push-ups. They do 50 push-ups. I did 50 push-ups. So if I had to go into the gas chamber, I had to go in that gas chamber. You know what? I graduated the same time they did. All us women who were in that class, well, in a group of class, but I was the only woman in my squad, in my platoon. And then I remember I was the only Filipino woman. There was this one African. I was a best friend. I and Mr. One African American woman in another platoon. We were best friends, and another white woman, and we were just all best friends. All us women were best friends, and we challenged ourselves. We would get together at lunchtime. We would talk and said, "We can do this. We can do this." And we graduated. All us women graduated together, and that was like, all these men think we can graduate. We challenged ourselves. We all graduated at the same time our male counterparts did. But now, more and more women are in that male-dominated NBC. But back then there were not a lot of women. But
Wow.
in 1985, there were only a handful of us. So
Oh,
we're
so you
proud.
were a trailblazer.
Yes, we were, and I'm proud to say we were. But now there are a lot more women in that field, but back then they were not. They were not. Because you have to don all this NBC gear, and it was really hard. And in Alabama, it can get up to 110 degrees up there. It's not a glamorous job, to say the least. But yeah, we're proud. And now, and I'm so proud of these women, and and I'm so proud of these two women who graduated from Ranger School, and they're now and they're piloting Black Hawk helicopters, and they're pilots now, they're generals now in male-dominated field. I'm so proud of these women are, commanders and generals and leading men into war fields, and I'm just proud of them.
Now,
So
when
proud.
you, how did you stay in NBC throughout your entire career?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Okay.
did. We're training. We're actually training soldiers in the war field now.
Oh,
Yes. And yes, we are.
that's great.
And we took care of what we call the NBC room. We trained how soldiers during chemical warfare.
Mm-hmm.
So it was exciting. It was exciting. So when I remember being in the recruiters office and said, okay, you qualify to be an NBC specialist. I'm like, what's that? And he told me what it was. I'm like, or you can be a parachute. I forgot what that job was. It's like, I'm going to take NBC. And he was like, what? Like, you understand, you might be the only female in your class. And when I went to my unit, um, I was the only female there. 84th Chemical Company. I was the only female.
Wow. How many people were in the unit total, approximately?
Um, in the unit, there was like about 100 of us. 84th Chemical Company. I was the only unit. I was the only female
Wow.
for about a year. I left there after a year. And then I got pregnant, so I was assigned to a Patriot unit in Fort Bliss. For a good year, I was the only female. I remember getting to the reception area in El Paso, and then they said, we're going to assign to the 84th Chemical Company. And I remember the specialist there said, there's no females there. And then the lieutenant said, I signed her there anyway. I was like, oh my goodness. And I remember I was the only, well, I mean, they share rooms. It's like, she has to have her own room, you understand? Like, yep, she has. I got in there and all the males were like, oh my God, there's a female here. And then they have this 84th Chemical Company. They have this every year they have a PT test, and 84th Chemical Company they won that PT test every year. And said, okay, we have a female now. We may not win the PT test this year, but you know what? I pushed myself. I challenged myself. We won that PT test that year.
Congratulations.
You know what? Got to do what you got to do.
Yes, yes. So this next question is, we are last year in the U.S., we were celebrating the centennial anniversary of a woman's right to vote. And so this isn't a political question, but we know having a voice and being able to express that voice is so important. And one of the things that the National Women's Association wanted to do was to continue that celebration in 21. Tell me, what does it mean to you to express yourself, your voice, and your voice in the vote? What does that mean to you?
I think it's important to me because it's time. I don't think we should recognize ourselves as males and females. It's time for us to vote. It's about time. We live in this world. We live in this society. We have a right. We have to have the right to vote. We live in a society. It's time for us to vote. You know, it's
Yeah.
about time. It's about time. We live in this society. We work in this society. It's time. It's time. We are not the minority. We live as equals. We contribute to this society. It's time.
Yes. I was doing some research just on, the women's suffrage movement, and the one thing that history, depending on who writes it, they'll tell you the story as they want you to know it. But the one thing that we don't hear a lot about are the unsung heroes in the whole suffrage movement, the Asian Americans that were behind the movement, the African American women behind the movement didn't get the right to vote until years later.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't care female, the women, African Americans, Asians, we're not the minority anymore. We're equals. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're equals. We're human beings.
Exactly.
I'm tired of hearing Asian Americans, African Americans, yellow, black, pink, women. We are equals. Equals. Everybody. Human beings. We are the child of God. Everybody.
Yes. Can you imagine how amazing the world would be if we took out all these labels?
Exactly. Bingo. You hit it on the dot. You hit it on the dot. We are all child of God. Equals. Equals. Yeah. Equals. Equals.
So tell me, you told us a little bit about your mom. With your mom, and maybe she is the woman, who is the woman that you feel most influenced you in your life and still influences you today?
It's definitely my mother. Her strength, her faith in God. That's where I think all of our kids, I think my siblings would agree with us, our mother. She gave us a strength. She taught us treat others as you want to be treated. Challenge yourself, go out of your comfort zone, pray for others, always pray for others, have faith in God. No matter what comes to you, and give thanks for your blessings, whatever you have, even though it's just a little thing in your life. Just thank God for everything that you have. Thank everything that you have, even if it's just a little thing. Thank God for all your blessings that you have.
I love that. When we think about gratitude, that is so important. It's like the moment you start being thankful
and be content for what you have.
Exactly. I was just going to go there. Yes.
Exactly. Just be content. Because if you want more and more and more, you'll never be content. Be happy for what you have. Even the little things, just be thankful for what you have. Just be content. Because if you're always seeking for that bigger and bigger, you'll never be content. And that's what I've taught my kids too, Luana. Just be content for what you have. Just be content.
Yeah.
Be content. Thank God for all the blessings that you have, and you'll be happy. And be happy. It's what you have. It's what you have, and you'll be happy. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's what you be, and be positive for everything. Be happy. It's like what that song says. Just be happy. Be positive.
Yeah.
And be positive.
And I like that. Like the story that you share with your mom, life hits us and we know it throws us curves. And even like you said, through the journey, she and your dad made a decision that we're not going to tell the children right now. We're going to continue to create a normal life. And I know, just as you're saying, throughout her journey, she was grateful for every single moment. And one of the things that celebrate you, we're telling the women celebrate the now. What is happening right now?
Exactly. And that's what it is. Celebrate now. Celebrate now. Not tomorrow. Celebrate today. And I think we are celebrating today because she said, you know what? And this is what I thought about what my dad told me too. If you have the money, if you save, yes, it's good to save for tomorrow. But if you have the money, travel today. Travel today. If you have the money, travel today. Because my dad said, me and your mom saved a lot of money to travel for tomorrow. But if you have the money today, because they never got to travel for tomorrow because she had cancer, right? If you have the money, travel for today. Live for today. Because you never know what's going to happen for tomorrow. You know what I mean? And thank God for what you have. Even for the salt and pepper shaker, thank God for that. And be content with that. You know what I mean? Live for today and be content. Be content. Be content. Thank God for your car for today. Be content. Just be happy. Be happy.
I love that. Well, we're almost out of time. I leave it with you to, if you were to, you just left with a really, really strong ending about being content and being thankful. Is there anything else you want to tell women who are watching, especially our younger generation, on what they need to think about as they grow into their womanhood and into who they are and their truth?
Yes. What you put out there comes back to you. So be grateful, be blessed. Thank God for what you have. Yes, that's all I want to say, because what if adversity comes to you, negativity comes up to you, just give it up to God. Don't worry. Everything will be okay. Be happy. The problems will work out itself. Just pray. Give it up to God. Be blessed. Be content. Work it through. It'll be okay. Pray. Most important thing. Be blessed. Like I said, what you put out there comes back to you. So I teach my kids, be positive. It'll work out. And work hard. Because working hard comes back to you and you'll be blessed.
Perfect. Well, Nancy, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being our first guest on this hashtag Choose the Challenge. So this was Nancy Sebastian Rasay DeCastro coming at you from Idaho. And she is a proud member of our Celebrate You community and is here just to help us to remember what's most important, which is living life now, being thankful, being grateful, being happy. And
be happy, like that song says.
Don't worry, be happy.
Don't worry, be happy. Perfect song for everybody. Much blessings, everybody.
Thank you so much, Nancy, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, Lawana.
As we always say, love yourself, embrace yourself, and whatever you do, celebrate you.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Much blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.